will be probably a world record fee for a defender.
Let's talk transfers, shall we? Alex Crook, our man in the know, is with us here in the studio. Morning to you, Alex.
Good morning.
Good morning, Crookie.
Before we kind of get into the latest moves, shall we say, there's a bit of news on Charlton to bring us first.
Yeah, and this is good news for Charlton fans. Sorry, I just turned the mobile phone off.
Oh, that's a fine.
That's very unprofessional.
Oh, that's 50 quid, mate.
Could have been a bit of breaking transfer news.
Indeed.
It's not. It's what I want for dinner tonight. Yes, so Charlton, we know that there's been various false dawns when it comes to the ownership of the football club. I'm reliably informed their takeover should go through today. They've been in talks for a while now with the SE7 group, headed by the former Sunderland chief exec Charlie Methven. Anyone who's seen the Sunderland Till I Die documentary will remember him. He certainly is, but I think there's some powerful backers behind this as well. So a deal agreed with the Charlton owner Thomas Sandgaard, and I think it should be the foundation for a good season. I don't think League One is as strong as it was last season. When you look at the teams that won promotion, they've already been fairly active in the transfer market. They've signed Alfie May to come in and provide a goal threat, which is a good signing, and I think the fans have really invested in what manager Dean Holden is doing there. So finally some light at the end of the tunnel, because it's been a pretty miserable few years for Charlton. Yeah,
brilliant. But you mentioned the Sunderland link, though. Should we talk transfers? Because staying in the northeast, Newcastle, they've got to sell before they can buy.
Yeah, no real surprise here. We've been talking about this on talkSPORT for a while. I think there was, looking from the outside in, people were expecting Newcastle to be big spenders this summer, and I've said all along, it's not what I'm being told. You know, they're very conscious of FFP regulations, and in order to finance a move for Harvey Barnes, and it looks like Harvey Barnes is open to moving to St James's Park, it's Saint-Maximin who is going to be sold. They're in talks with Al Ahly in Saudi Arabia, ironically owned by PIF, the investment fund behind Newcastle. So
should be an easy deal.
You'd think it should be a fairly straightforward transaction. Obviously, Eddie,
why is it not done and dusted then? What's going on?
It will be interesting, you know, what type of fee changes hands, because obviously if it gets too big, then maybe questions might be asked.
Yes,
but
I was just thinking that, though. Is that the only thing that could raise eyebrows when we're looking at a fee for some of these sort of links with clubs that are owned by the same sort of group?
Yeah, and I think they'll be conscious of that, which is why it looks like Saint-Maximin is going to change hands for less, say, than Fabinho, who we know has a £40 million price tag. But once that's happened, it should enable Newcastle to sign Harvey Barnes. And I think even though he's a bit of a cult hero, Saint-Maximin, if you look at the numbers, Harvey Barnes is a better player.
Yeah, of course. And when you say about the owners of the club he might go to, could they pay over the odds for him?
I don't think so.
Do you know what I mean?
Because I think it would invite unwanted scrutiny.
Exactly.
So I think they'll be conscious
there's
of that.
There's an amount that he's worth, isn't it? You can't allow them to pay 50 million for Saint-Maximin when he's worth maybe 25, 30.
Yeah, I'd say £30 million is about right. But I think what's also interesting, again, Eddie Howe speaking earlier in the week, he was talking openly about the prospect of maybe loaning players from Saudi Arabia. Again, I think that might invite some scrutiny that maybe Newcastle wouldn't necessarily welcome.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so that's Newcastle covered. Manchester City, are they doing any more business?
Yeah, it's been rambling on a while, this one, with Josko Gvardiol, very talented centre-back Croatian, plays for RB Leipzig. I think he's back in training with Leipzig, but Man City confident of getting a deal done. I think it's just a case of agreeing the structure of the payment. It will be probably a world record fee for a defender, but they need some bodies, don't they? Because they look a little bit short at this moment in time, and there's still the prospect of Riyad Mahrez joining the Exeter to Saudi Arabia. I think Bernardo Silva probably will leave this summer. I think he's been looking to get away for a while now, and there's strong interest from Paris Saint-Germain and maybe Barcelona as well. And we know that Kyle Walker has agreed terms on a move to Bayern Munich. So I think it's going to be a fascinating summer at City.
I think talking about them players maybe leaving, that just must give hope to other teams in the league, like Arsenal, Liverpool, surely.
Well, maybe it's Pep Guardiola just trying to keep it interesting for everybody else.
Yeah, you know what?
By reinventing the squad.
Trying to help out other teams. That's what he does.
Apparently.
What about Harry Maguire, your best mate?
My best mate. Yeah. Well, obviously, we've been talking a lot about the fact he's been stripped of the captaincy. I don't think it's a given that he leaves Manchester United. I think there is still part of him that wants to stay and fight for his place. But just keep an eye on Chelsea. He was linked with them a year ago. I think they are paying close attention to the situation. Obviously, they've lost Fofana to another serious injury, so they're pretty short on defensive cover. I think it would have to be a permanent deal. I don't necessarily see a situation where Manchester United would loan Maguire to Chelsea, because they could be competing for
that don't suit him,
the same goals next season.
Because he's not going to start there either. So he needs to go and play somewhere guaranteed to start, doesn't he, Maguire? He doesn't start at Chelsea.
Well, they're pretty short defensively.
Yeah, but you'd say Badiashile and Thiago Silva would start 100%.
Thiago Silva not getting any younger, though, is he?
I know, yeah.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.